Shabbat Shalom Mishpacha. This is the Kohen speaking. I have just about, or in the middle of putting up a recording, which shall go public this time, in order to bless everybody who comes to it. Just as we are told in our books that God's rain falls upon the just and the unjust. The blessings of God are for everybody who walks in faithfulness, but being falling on the unjust doesn't mean that God wants to bless the unjust. It just means that they have equal opportunity to receive God's blessing, just as the righteous, so do the unrighteous. Everybody has the chance to come before God and accept the blessings, so that they can turn their hand of kindness upon other people. This is why this recording will go up. Now, there is a Sabbath lecture which is scheduled to go out tonight, which will be, for me, it will be tomorrow, and for you, it will be tonight, your time in North America. Now, I wanted to elaborate a little bit, and maybe not to elaborate too much, but just give you a little guidance and some notes. And this is the purpose of this lecture regarding cryptocurrencies. And remember, I spoke about this maybe 3 months ago when I said wait. Remember, I told you to wait. Do not invest in cryptocurrencies yet. Wait for it to fall down further. And if you go back to my lecture, and those of you who heard it, you would have heard me saying that do not buy before December. And I gave you a couple of guidance notes on that, to wait till December. And now we're in November. Today is November 11, my time over here, Friday. And for you, I believe it's, for some of you, it might be still November 10, because we are almost a day ahead. So with that in mind, I wanted to remind you that I said that the bottom hadn't been called out yet. While many pundits on the internet, many so-called gurus, they were saying, oh, well, the bottom is near for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin at that time was around, I believe, it had gone down to almost to $18,000. As of late, what happened about a week ago, Bitcoin had what seemed like a meteoric rise. It went to somewhere 23,000, and everybody was getting on board. And then came the big fall, and Bitcoin hit 15,500. Now, the reason for the big fall, I mean, it doesn't matter, because the market makers are going to take it down. This is what you got to understand. There are many players in the market which will always take down the price of a currency. It doesn't matter fiat and doesn't matter non-fiat. It's irrelevant. In the scheme of things, all things are manipulated according to requirements of certain individuals, certain high-worth individuals. So the market was going to be manipulated, and it was going to take down lower. Now, I'm again cautioning you. Those of you who invested in Bitcoin quickly, didn't wait till December, you think that the bottom is in. Maybe many of the so-called pundits will start saying again, oh yeah, the bottom is in, 15,500, now it's going to go back up. No, this is not the bottom, by the way. The bottom is not in. Wait till December, okay? Because prices are going to go lower. Saying that the reason that is given right now, because there always has to be a reason for the market makers to manipulate the prices, and it doesn't have to be a reason, but you know, when they take it to a level, they're going to give you a reason. What's the reason given? The reason that was given was FTX.com, a cryptocurrency website, which was fairly large, was controlled by Sam Bankman-Friedman. He basically is, or was, I should say, a billionaire. You know, he had a net asset worth of 40 or thereabouts $1 billion. Now, he was living a very frugal life, driving his Toyota. I think it was a Corolla, if I'm not mistaken. And he had said that he would, eventually the money he makes, he'll give away to whoever, charities or whatever, in his lifetime. Young guy, however, very misguided. Okay, this is how misguided he was. When you're misguided like that, you will never retain your wealth. Remember, he got the wealth, but he didn't retain it. He's on the verge of bankruptcy. And because of being verge of bankruptcy, Binance came in. He went to Binance, to CZ, owner of Binance, and he said to him, can they take over their business and provide liquidity? And then the Binance CEO said yes. And then one day later he said no, can't do it. There's too many holes in the books. So probably because the books were cooked up in some way, shape or form, he didn't see the CZ, CZ, the owner of Binance, did not see the need to retain FTX.com because they were rivals. I guess he decided to let them go and just go extinct, because they needed to make payments of $8 billion. They were short $8 billion. They can't come up with the cash. We're still in the middle of it. We are not finished yet. We're still in the middle of that turmoil. Anybody who'd invested money in there with FTX, it's hard to say now what will happen to that. I mean, generally speaking, if somebody overtakes FTX, then your money will be safe. If somebody doesn't take over FTX, then you may be looking at a loss of your money. And this is not to say that this is with FTX. This can happen with anybody, with any bank. If you put your money in a bank, let's say you put your money in Barclays Bank or Chase Manhattan Bank, and tomorrow these banks collapse. You may have $1 million in there. The only guarantee that you have with the banks, you do actually have a guarantee with the banks, and the guarantees that they give you, in England, they'll illustrate to you that will give you, let's say, $200,000 back of your money. So if you lost $10 million, you're guaranteed only $200,000 back. There is a guarantee. In America, it's a different figure, but there is a figure that is published by the rules of the banking laws that they'll give you a certain amount back. Might be 10%, of $1 million, or maybe a little bit more. Having said that, at least with regulations, you do get something back. You're not completely left poor. Whereas with the cryptocurrency markets right now, and I said this many times before, that unless this industry is regulated, it will always put many people out. Because equally, where there's money to be made, there's money to be lost. When there's no regulations, means that they'll take your money happily, and when it comes time to give it back, if they go bankrupt, you'll get nothing back. This is why I always say, in crypto, only invest what you can afford to lose. Do not invest what you cannot afford to lose. It's always safer. This is my experience personally, and I also guide you the same way. It is always safer to put money in bricks and mortar. Okay? It's always safe. Doesn't matter what environment, your money will never be lost. It will always come back with good returns. But if you put your money into a token, like what's called Bitcoin, it's basically a paper or a virtual instrument. If you put your money in a virtual instrument, yes, you might become a millionaire and you might become a billionaire, but if you don't know how to utilize your wealth, equally you can become bankrupt. Sam Bankman-Fried is the fine example of that, what happened to him. Now, money is energy. As I've said many times before, money is energy, and unless you circulate that energy correctly, and unless you have the correct mindset, it will leave you as fast as it comes, as fast as it goes. Okay? So one of the principal things, that when money comes, it does not come with instructions or wisdom. You have to be in the right mindset to retain that wealth and continue with that wealth. And there are things that I teach, and I have taught to my private students, that they will benefit from, because they'll know how to retain that wealth. They'll know when they have the wealth, they will also retain it for the next decade, for 20, 30, 50 years, and pass it on to their children. They will definitely do that. Why? Because they have been given instructions how to handle the wealth. When you do not have the instructions how to handle the wealth, 9 times out of 10, you will lose it. And this man, Sam, if I'm pronouncing his name right, Sam Bankman-Fried, is a fine example of that. He does not know how to manage his wealth. So therefore, as fast as he made it, as fast as it's gone. I guess, tomorrow he goes bankrupt or somebody else takes his company. He might start another company or whatnot. Having said that, be very, very wise and be very, very circumspect. All of these crypto finance companies, doesn't matter which, it doesn't matter if it's Binance, the biggest one, it doesn't matter if it's the smallest one. Your money is still, how should I put it, risk money. It's no guarantee. If you have 5,000 or if you have $5 million in there, there's no guarantee that you'll get that money back. So my advice to my private students, privately, I always give my students advice, and I'm not going to say it publicly, but when you come on board, when you're with me, when you're, in our camp, so to speak, I mean, there's no physical camp, but virtual camp, let's say it. Those of you that obey God, those of you that do the Torah walk, those of you that tithe, do the Sadaqah, those that are faithful, when you come in the camp, I will give you the correct advices of how to go about building your finances and how to go about making your wealth. And this is very important because, like I said, without a mentor, I'm not just a teacher, I'm your mentor, I'm your guide, I'm a spiritual father to many. And I have helped many, many people being blessed tremendously. I usually say to my students and my friends, I say, I put my foot in your door. If I put my foot in your house, you will be tremendously blessed. And they, some of them might think it's a joke. Others of them take me very seriously and they say, please come to our house. Please come to our house. And sometimes I can go and sometimes I can't go. And let me give you an example. Jesus didn't go to anybody's house to bless them. I don't care how many people tell you that Jesus came down and blessed them. No, Jesus never entered anybody's home. And this is not to say that Jesus is a bad person or unrighteous person, nothing like that. I'm just giving you a fine example of a living human being. Since Jesus is not a living human being in our times, how is he going to go to your home and put his foot down? Because let's say that if you believe that he is the Messiah, well, yet he's yet to come. He's miles away. He's not here yet. So therefore, how is he going to enter your home? You might say spiritually. I'm not talking about spiritually. I'm not talking about like a ghost. I'm talking about physically. The Kohanim, the priesthood, was physically able to enter people's homes and bless those homes by just stepping in. That is the sign of a Kohen. I can tell you a testimony of a Christian family in the East that hadn't prospered for 20 years of their life. Did not prosper. I entered their home. I stayed there for a number of days. I then left. And after I left, they may not give no praises to me. And they may not give no praises to the God of Abraham. But I can tell you this. They may praise Jesus or they may praise somebody else. But their lives change. One of their sons left the country to go to Dubai. Another son got a better job. And so their prosperity started. Now, whether they give praise to the right people or not is irrelevant. This was just one example. I entered another person's home and it was a Muslim family. Now, the previous one was a Christian family, and there was a Muslim family that was struggling. They're poor people. I entered their home, and I made the same claim to them, and I said that now that I've entered your home, I sat, I may drink a glass of water, maybe have a cup of tea. It doesn't matter. I don't need to have a cup of tea or water. I can just stand there for 5 seconds and walk away, and they will be blessed. So I said, blessings will come to you. The father was struggling, didn't have a job, was struggling, struggle. And today, after my visitation, today the father has a business. The daughter has a salaried job. In other words, they are now on the up and up. That's my claims are proven true over and over again. Why? because God's word is true. God's word is never a lie and never false. So with that, I say that to you in earnest and in humility, that, and again, I really don't have nothing against Jesus. Jesus just gave an example, because the Christians I went into, the house I went into, they were worshippers of Jesus. They've been worshipping Jesus for donkey years and still are. But yet, you do not give honor and glory to the wrong place. When honor and glory comes to you, give it to the right place. God is the one that deserves honor and glory. Now, you can debate it till the cows come home, that Jesus is the Messiah, or Jesus is not the Messiah, and Jesus is God, and Jesus is not God. You can debate that all you prefer. I am not here to debate that point. I'm not going to. And those that want to debate with me have already had their fair share of debates. However, respectfully, your belief is your belief, and I've got nothing against your beliefs. But I stand here for the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and for Torah that is eternally useful, internally a blessing to all the nations in the world, whether they accept it or not. Those that did are blessed tremendously. Those that didn't, well, we'll just leave it at that. You can just look at the state of the nations where they are. And you can look at the state of the nations. You can look at the state of nations that adopted our laws versus those that did not adopt our laws. And you get a conclusion. Having said that, this is not a debate about right and wrong. I'm simply telling you that to be wise, make sure that you obey or listen to the simplest commands, and the simplest commands being that it's a rough world out there. So be wise, and if you're wise, you will benefit. And if you're not wise, then you will go down the list of people that went down in history, with their names as numbers. So with that, I say, have a wonderful, wonderful Sabbath ahead, and a Shabbat Shalom to you.